Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today this video is going to be on me installing 99 up Jeep 4.0 Horseshoe Intake that I modified to fit my 4-barrel Holley 390 carb. Sorry, it's been a while since I got a video out. I've been working a lot, and it actually took me almost, I don't know, half a day to slice and dice this video just in the vids, because I had like 7 hours. It was it was a ton. So I sped it up some, cut out a lot of parts, you know, my frustrating parts and all of that. But I'll go over everything. It took longer than I expected. I actually woke up Saturday morning and was like 3 weeks ago, whatever, before work exploded, and was like, oh, sweet, I'm going to do this. You know, it'll be like a couple hours, you know, maybe take a cat nap in the afternoon. Nah, bro, that didn't happen. Some of it worked out really well. Some of it was just because it's a different intake, so there's different linkages and stuff like that. And some of it was just plain old rusty, dumb effery. But there's other parts where I really lucked out on. So, and it runs well, and this, that, and the other. And we'll go over all that. So here I am taking off the old intake. And if you look at the brake cylinder compared to this carb, because that's one thing I did, I was like, oh, you know, a Jeep intake is Jeep intake, you know? No. Look at the space between the cylinder and where the barrel is, or the bowl is to the Holley. And that's my old adapter. And obviously that's my old Clifford intake. Look how small that guy is. Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty big, but it's not. You'll see what big is. It's, anyways, we'll go over. I'll go over all the stuff I did. It was interesting, to say the least. So here I am taking off the old one. It's really boring. I'll speed up through it. And then we put on the new one. And yeah, it's a lot larger. I loosened up my serpentine belt because I don't know why. I thought it was getting in the way, or it just, I don't know, something was tight. And I did not realize that this thing was actually a lot longer than the stock one, because I have a 4.0 engine with 258 accessories. And I don't know where the accessories hang out on a 4.0. Doesn't really make much sense to me. I guess they hang out more forward, but when you build the stroker and you use the 258 crank with the serpentine crank, if I remember correctly, you have to shim it, your belt back, if you have the long snout. So I don't know. It's twisting up my brain. I'm burnt out. So here you can see the size. Yeah, that's a lot wider or deeper, and it's a lot longer. So, yeah, you know, I did the only thing that Rusty could think of, you know, and that's break out the Sawzall, start chopping it off to make it fit. Your power steering is supposed to bolt into the intake, but that's obviously not going to happen without a different power steering bracket. And I mean, I ain't got time for that. Come on. And to be honest, since it used to be bolted on, but then when I had the 258 block with the 4.0 head, my power steering actually was bolted on to my stock intake when I had a little Weber 38. And then when I, even with the 4.0 head, then when I swapped to the Clifford, it was like half and half. So the original bolt hole on the bracket would end up about you could see half the hole of the Clifford intake. And I was like, man, I'm not going to draw out like hole in hole. That's a real pain in the rear if you've ever done it. And sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes the drill bit just wants to walk out. Anyways, so I was like, well, I'm just going to dry fit it. And, you know, I was excited, see it run and, you know, feel the performance and all that jazz. And then I just never fixed it, you know, to be real honest. So my power steering has not been bolted up for probably about a year or so, just to the block and to the water pump. And so when it came to this, I was like, well, I mean, I'll just run it the way it is, you know. Maybe when I I don't know. Honestly, when I get the stroker, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm probably not worried about it, to be real honest with you. Or find some other way to do it. So here I am lopping it all off, grinding it out. And for this, I just did rough cuts because remember, I'm going to dyno it the way it sits, and then we'll pull it off and I'll visually flow it with, you know, quote unquote air marks, air quotes, whatever they're called, and then take it back off and, sorry, we're going to dyno it and then take it back off, visually flow it, and then grind out what we're going to do. And at that point, I'll actually make this all look better because there's some other stuff I grinded while it was still in the Jeep. We'll get into a little bit later. And so it isn't beautiful. It's just there to run, and this is not the final product. And I don't know, I may paint it, may not. I don't really know what I'm going to do with it yet. But nonetheless, so you know, it'll look kind of nasty for right now. But it is what it is. So here I am cranking it on. Well, I tell you what, those bolts on the bottom, that's the other thing. Man, with it sticking out so far, yeah, they're insane to get to. If you notice here, this is one of the adapters I had. And look at that brake cylinder. Yeah, that's not going there. So I tried back and forth, you know, forward, backward. That's the original one. But I didn't really want to use that because that's actually made for a Clifford. So whatever. And this is another adapter I have, which is much lower. And now the fuel bowl kind of tucks underneath that brake line. And I mean, it barely. So I kind of lucked out there. And my linkage touches a brake line up front, but I just moved it. Now I know, like Uncle Tony had a video not too long ago. I think it was a newer video. Anyways, doesn't really matter. A lot of guys will run a carb, a 4-barrel front and back. I run it side to side because logically it makes more sense and more. It's obviously more asymmetrical for inline 6. But there's another reason too. That's because of the way this carb is shaped, or sorry, this intake is shaped, and I'll explain that in a later video when we visually flow it. But it actually works out like almost insanely perfect. I'm not too sure if I'm going to keep this intake adapter with the individual barrel holes, because I feel like it actually gets in the way. But we'll visually flow it. Here, my secondary linkage got in the way of this port, this vac port. Yeah, that's awesome. That's real awesome. But not a big deal. You know, Rusty has a solution for that, just like that power steering bracket. So I didn't cut it off. I just shaped it a little bit to clear it. And on the flip side, my primary, this little guy got in the way. It was hitting the actual intake because of that lower adapter. I don't know what that's for. I think for like a kickdown for a transmission on another vehicle. And right there in blue is where it was kicking, or it was hitting the intake. And I couldn't go higher with the intake, as you saw, because of that cylinder in the brake line. So I'm kind of stuck with what I have, to be real honest. And it is what it is. So I shaved that off. Then I started putting bolts in. With that tight of a squeeze, I mean, to take it off, I've taken it off since then. And I actually have to take all 3 of the bolts off and then pivot it, and I can take it off, because the worst one is the one closest to the cylinder, or to the brake booster and around the brake cylinder, because obviously that one is a really tight space. And so I take all 3 out except for that one, and leave that one and kind of pivot it and lift it up. I don't know. I mean, when I first did it, I was like, oh my God, this is such a pain in the ass. But now I'm kind of used to it, so it really isn't that big of a deal. So tighten it all on. You could probably see, you'll see where the linkage is. gets in the way of those brake lines. So here's where I'm putting the linkage on, and you can see it ends up a little bit too low. I have to raise it up. And I lucked out actually. I got those little pretty cylinder sleeves off of a barn door, and I don't know, I just kept it. Looked pretty good, but actually I'm going to change those out too, because you can see actually from this angle that I can't get to my idle screws very easily. So I don't really like it because they're so fat, but it looks good for now. And here I am putting on the fuel lines. Can't really see it, but yeah. And I pull it back off and I'm stuffing it because I got fuel everywhere. Because I have to do some cutting. Yay. So there's a little nub on the intake right there, and that was keeping me from tightening it on enough. And so I covered everything and cut it up because I was not going to take that intake back off. Really didn't care. And there you go. I got it down more. Like I said, I have to clean up this thing. I'm going to take it back off anyhow, so I'll clean it up and make that more pretty when I do it. When I do it the second go round. So now I'm attaching it all because I got that out of the way. I mean, it's a tight fit. It looks good, looks cool, but it is a tight fit with that carb. I actually want to try different carbs, especially when I get the stroker. I was thinking about the Edelbrock AVS2, but I may have to order one on Amazon, get some measurements, and see how it sits. Because, I don't know, I mean, let's face it, that's so tight, I don't know if it's going to fit. Same with other ones. I don't know if I'd get a bigger Holley. I think even a ABS 600 might be issues, but it has annular boosters, so in theory, it should work. I don't know. We'll see. That's all booster stuff. And so the original line, that's where the secondary was hitting that port. I just ended up plugging that off. I originally used it for my brake booster. Not a good idea. It made one cylinder run lean. I don't know why. I didn't really think of it at the time, live and learn. So I plugged that off, and it has the Horseshoe Intake has two vacuum ports. One little guy out the back, which is a little bit off-centered, and then one big one out the back. So what I ended up doing was using the big one off the back for my PCV valve and my brake booster. And I'll show that later on. Here I am starting it up. And it actually started right up. It's idled really well, like super well. Accelerated well, at least, sitting there. But I wasn't done. As you'll see, I had some issues. Again, because of the shape of the intake. It's such a drastic shape compared to the original. And also me running propane. If you don't have propane, which you guys probably don't, the dual fuel, that are 99% of people don't, you won't run into the issue I had with the filter. But although I don't know if you'd be able to get a round air filter on there either. You might have to go like square, rectangular, or maybe one of the hoods or caps, whatever they call them, like I have, and then go to cone filter. I'm not too sure what you'd do. It's probably how I'd go for it. But as you can see, who would take my advice, because I'm not too good at fitting things into places, So it runs well. One issue I ran into was the linkage. I guess because of the geometry and it shifting everything over, my pedal wouldn't pull it far enough to open up the secondaries. I tried to get it in this shot. Yeah, you can't really see it that well. But the secondaries weren't fully opening. So what I ended up doing there is getting the adjustable linkage, secondary linkage that Holley sells. Installing that, this part number 20-122. Take out the original. Adjust it a tad bit shorter. It's pretty cool, actually. Pretty cool that you can do that, or that they sell that. They kind of saved the day, to be real honest. Although it's, oh man, it really is kind of awkward to install, especially as little clips, but whatever. So test it out. Now we're fully opening. And to see it, I use a light. Makes life a lot easier. Here's how I did my linkage. Originally, I just had a spring going from that big loop up to the valve cover, one of the valve cover bolts, one of those 3 triangular ones, and the little triangle. That is pretty ghetto. But anyways, bought this guy on Amazon, and actually works really well. It looks a little fancy, and hey, you know what? It has a little screw hole there. You can bolt right on. I will say that this intake has a lot more places to attach things, because I used to have a fuel rail, obviously. And that's kind of cool. So when I pull this off and then make it all beautiful and all that jazz after we grind everything, I'll focus on that and clean up some stuff. And here's where my intake is actually running into my linkage brackets for my linkage. So that's no good. So I bought a riser, like 2-inch riser. That riser looks so cheap, but I mean, it was cheap. But anyhow, and it was pre-tariff. Pre-tariff. So it did good there. It rose everything. Got my air filter from basically running into the linkage bracket, and I needed a new bolt. I cut that. And put on those little rubber guys. The part of the problem is with propane, you need a really good seal. You cannot have any leaks of air, kind of like you can with the normal carb. You know, it just doesn't get filtered, but it's tight enough. It's already kind of filtered. But you can see here when I raised it up. Yeah, it's sitting pretty high. And so to test that, yeah, you can definitely see it there. It looks kind of cool like that, but unfortunately, I can't have that. So what I had to do is I got some Play-Doh, put it on there, close the hood, see where I'm at. Yeah, it wouldn't even close. It was squishing that Play-Doh, and there we go. I got kind of lucked out when I bought this propane. The dual fuel kit is actually like an adapter that turns it downward. Just funny, when I originally had, I'm like, oh, that's a really random piece. Like, what are you ever going to use that for? Well, there you go. Now I guess I know. So there it is. Installing that. So I mean, it literally came out to like the leaning tower of propane here. It looks kind of ridiculous. But I don't know of another way to do it. So it is what it is. It's what I have. Yeah. Fiddling around with the little screws. Yeah. That screw is hard to get. They didn't space that enough to really get a socket wrench in there. So it's kind of annoying. There's my clay after I didn't get film of me closing it. I know, it's very exciting to close the hood. But there you go. I have more than enough space there now. And look at that. My intake is now further away and still up. Because eventually I'm going to do a cold air intake. It's good that it's up and out of the way. Because if you notice, that the metal underneath is a little bit further out, and I'm actually going to use that to go build basically a round piece of plastic to go around that, and then a flat top to attach it all and close it in. Then I'm going to run it to, actually, I'm going to make a more teardrop shape. Yeah, no, this doesn't really make any sense right now, but teardrop shape to make a cold air intake to go to the original, either the original intake or incoming air, which catches incoming air. It's right behind the headlight, a little bit just below it. Or I'm going to maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll run it to the fresh air cowl, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to run it yet. Anyhow, and here is what I was talking about earlier with my back lines. So you can see that the big guy is centered, and that's why I ran to my PCV and my brake booster, and the little guy goes to my distributor, my PSB1 gauge, which shows vacuum, and AFR. And what else does that go to? Oh, 4x4, the CAD. So, and I think that's all that. Oh, and also the cowl flapper on the YJ, which I hate that damn thing. But anyways, that's what that runs to. And my brake booster, my brakes feel a little soft, but they actually do okay. I mean, they'll stop. They'll stop on a dime, but it's weird. It just feels different than the 258 one. And possibly what I'll do, when I take it back off, if you look a little bit lower, there is actually below that, there's a little bit of meat. I'll take a look at it and see if I can add another port so that the PCV can have its own port and the brake booster can have its own port. I don't even know if that'll make a difference versus the big T in there. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Truth be told, I'll probably just forget, to be real honest. All right, so here I started up, and well, obviously I started up. I'm driving it, and I do my typical 10 to 40 mile per hour run, and we'll see how it does. It sounds good. It sounds very good. It's way smoother than the Clifford. I don't know why. I guess distribution of air and fuel. I don't know. It just behaves a lot differently. Yeah, it's very awkward to get the phone off. Yep, well, I'm gonna lose it. Look at that. 3.4. 10 to 40 miles per hour is 3.4. So if you remember from my previous videos, the best we had was 4.3. So I shaved off a second on my 10 to 40 mile per hour. No. Before we get too excited, I have a theory here. And this is why we do why I do the 10 to 40 mile per hour and also the dyno. Because it'd be cool for me to say online, look at that, I gained a second, and then, hypothesize on how much horsepower I gained and how much torque I gained and all that jazz, and you know what I mean, get all big D on y'all. But the reality is, as we saw when I went from in the dyno here, and when I covered in my previous video, I'll link down below, is that what happened is from when I changed my gearing from 3.07 to 410, my power, the power shifted, and also where the RPM shifted. So as you can see here, everything was the same, but basically shifted down. So when I did that 10 to 40 mile per hour, I actually shifted earlier than I usually do. It'll rev up high and it'll rev up beautifully, but I did shift it earlier, and that's what got me at 3.4 seconds. So now I wonder, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe my Clifford intake would have also done 3.4 seconds. And I just shifted at 4,000 instead of 3,800 or whatever I shipped at. So I don't know. I'm interested to see how the dyno goes, to see if I actually gained any power with this new intake. I hope I did. I mean, I don't really care either way because honestly, it runs smoother, and I have some tricks that I think actually will help it. Where the nubs are for the fuel injection, I mean, those things are massive and they take up a lot of space, and I have to disrupt flow, especially wet flow. You know, remember, this is a carb. We're dealing with fuel mixed in with air going into a port. Right before the port, you have those big nubs. So I think that'll help out a lot. But we'll see. We'll see what the dyno does. But I don't want to get. I mean, it's exciting to see that I shaved off a second, but I don't know if that's from me shifting or from the actually gaining power. It definitely runs smoother. The idle is way more smooth, and it's cleaner sounding. It's like not. I don't want to say quiet, but yeah, it I don't know. It just sounds different. It's and it reacts differently. I'm actually very happy with it. I'll be even more happy when we visually flow it. That's going to be a pretty cool video. Shave out all of that. I think that's going to help a lot, and do some tricks, but we'll see. We'll see. So if you have any questions, leave them down below and I'll get to them. And thanks for watching my videos. All right. Thanks, guys. Bye.